Alright guys, Q&A time. I'm just going to scroll through these questions and answer them the best that I can. The first one is from Someone Movement Fitness. Should a novice powerlifter worry about squat shoes? If not, what are alternatives? Barefoot. I really don't think that a novice powerlifter should worry about squat shoes. There are different definitions of novice. I still think of myself as a novice powerlifter, so I may not be the best person to answer this question, but I would say just start off with a pair of flat-soled shoes like Chucks. You see those a lot. I have some basic Nikes that work pretty well until I bought myself some Chucks. And I still don't squat in Olympic shoes. If you don't have ankle flexibility issues, then there's no reason why you couldn't squat in flat-soled shoes. And if you do, one alternative that is used pretty regularly by people is to put a plate under your heels. Obviously the plate can slide, so be careful with that one. But really I think if you're a novice and you're not competing, you could even just stop a little short of depth if you realize that your heels are coming up at the bottom. So obviously you want to squat to at least parallel, but if you're not able to without your heels coming up, then that's not going to work. I wouldn't really recommend squatting barefoot. Like I said, I would just use some flat-soled shoes. Alright, next question from Mr. Trestoon. How old are you? I'm 23, and this has got a few parts. Next part of the question, how long have you been lifting and what types of lifting? Bodybuilding, powerlifting, etc. I've been lifting since I was 14, so about 9 years total, but the first 4 years were for football in high school, and the training was pretty basic. There was some powerlifting stuff involved. We did bench press and squats, and then there were some Olympic lifts like power clean, power press. That's not necessarily an Olympic lift, but it is an explosive type lift. We never did deadlifts in high school, which I'm actually okay with now because that's not necessarily something you want to throw into football training because it takes a little longer to recover. But I started then, and then when I graduated high school, I went close to 2 years without training legs at all. I did bro stuff, so like bench press and curls, and then pull-ups and tricep extensions, and that was like 3 days a week. That was it. Did a lot of running. Got into running quite a bit actually for those first couple of years. I was running like 3 miles 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah, and then I competed in my first bodybuilding show when I was 20, which was in 2010. I'd been training legs again for about 6 months, and they were my best body part on stage. So definitely some genetic stuff there, and I think I laid the foundation in high school when I was squatting for football. The next part of this question, what are your midterm goals for your lifts? Not sure exactly what you mean by midterm, but I'd say short-term goals for bench press, 315, 3 plates. For squat, 500, I'm about 30 pounds away from that now. And then for deadlift, 550, which is probably about 30 pounds away too. And all of these are post-contest prep. I don't expect to hit PRs or anything during contest prep. Okay, next part of this same question. How do you determine your macros and how much do you adjust them? Okay, first off, it's total calories, and I know where my calories need to be right now because I track macros all year round. So I know where maintenance is, and I'll drop 400 to 500 calories from that. And then the first thing that I'll set after calories is protein. And at this point, I've been dieting or bulking for long enough and adjusting my own macros for long enough that I know where my protein needs to be. But in general, for myself and for clients who I work with, I'll set protein between 1.1 and 1.3 grams per pound of body weight. And then that actually kind of depends on carbs. So if somebody's training is really high volume, then I'm gonna kind of shift the emphasis towards carbs, and their protein might be a little bit lower, even if they're dieting. Um, and there are kind of thresholds there, but that's the basics. And then I'll fill in the rest with fat sometimes, and then if I realize fat's a little lower than I prefer, then I'll bring carbs down a little bit if I need to. So protein first, then carbs, then fat, and then if the fat is too low when their calories are met, then I'll lower carbs just a little bit. All right, that's it for that question from Mr. Trestoon. Up next, from Daniel Rodriguez, what are your thoughts on rep ranges that are greater than 6 to 8 for upper body? Do you think they are necessary for a program that is well-rounded? First off, no, I don't think they're necessary for a program that is well-rounded, but I don't think they're just a complete waste. The main thing that contributes to mass gains, and it can contribute to strength gains too, is volume. So sets of 12 obviously have more volume than sets of 8. It's just that you're going to have to use less weight for those sets. So I'd actually recommend more sets with fewer reps over less sets, fewer sets with more reps. So that's my answer for that. The next question, same part of that same person's question, Daniel Rodriguez. I think he typed this pretty quickly, but I think the gist of it is, are those sets of 12 or more unnecessary but okay to throw in every once in a while for strength gain goals? I think I answered that already. All right, next question is from Josh, aka Combat Veteran Lifter. How did you fall into powerlifting, and what keeps you motivated to working hard? Motivated to keep working hard. Powerlifting, I started bodybuilding, and powerlifting just kind of happened naturally. Started setting goals, started learning more about training, and realized that bodybuilding was pretty boring. Hitting sets of 8 gets pretty boring to me. I like going for PRs and stuff, so it was more fun, so I decided to do powerlifting. What keeps me motivated? I love it. It's not hard to stay motivated. I can't stand not being in the gym, so it's easy to get in there and do it. Next question from C the Athlete. I'm also interested in competing in powerlifting and bodybuilding. Which one do you find more enjoyable and why? Kind of just answered this. Powerlifting is just much more fun for me because you can set goals and hit them, and then bodybuilding goals are less tangible. For a bodybuilding goal, it's look better on stage. That's really the only goal you can have. And for powerlifting, you have numbers that you can hit. So it's just more fun for me to do powerlifting right now. I'm looking forward to hitting new PRs after the bodybuilding season. I'm already looking forward to that. The next one was from Brian Nielsen about DUP. I'm going to come back to that one because it might take a little longer. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and separate this Q&A because this is already getting pretty long. Thanks for the questions, and stay tuned.